What's going on, Picks and Parlays family? My name is David Delano. You guys can follow me on X at Get Sports Strong. Also, we invite you guys to check out picksandparlays.net. Right now, you can go ahead and get some great deals going on over there on Picks and NFL, someone like myself, NHL, NBA, and college basketball. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into your free picks here. We're going to be talking about two bowl games here. First one we're going to be talking about is going to be the Celebration Bowl. One of my favorite bowl games that often gets overlooked here, or underlooked, however you want to look at it. And then we're also going to be looking at the LA Bowl. So we're going to be talking about South Carolina State and Prairie View A&M. And yes, you can bet on that game. Side and totals are both available. And then we've got the LA Bowl between Boise State and Washington. So let's go ahead and get into this. Let's start with the Celebration Bowl here. Right now, South Carolina State is a 1.5 point favorite on this. DraftKings dropped the line first. Total of 51.5. A very interesting matchup. You got Prairie View 10-3. They upset Jackson State, the former school of Coach Prime, to get here. In South Carolina State, they haven't played since November 22nd, where they went 5-0 in the MEAC. They were 4-0 going up against a 4-0 Deshaun Jackson-led Delaware State team, and South Carolina State did manage to win that game. However, there were some areas for concern in that game. They did force 4 turnovers, so kudos out to them for that, but Delaware State was able to run all over them in that game. They allowed 439 rushing yards for over 9 yards per carry. They're going up against a Prairie View defense that's pretty strong and really one of the best secondaries, best pass defense in the SWAC. South Carolina State's a little bit more one-dimensional on offense, and also the fact that they can't stop the run. Prairie View brings more balance to the table. Both of these teams, they did face some pretty teams that you would know about outside of conference. South Carolina State 38-10 loss to South Carolina, and then they had a big blowout loss to South Florida, but that is expected. On the Prairie View side, they had a 38-17 loss to Rice early on in the season. But the way that I am looking at this game, I like the balance here for Prairie View. And also, I like the fact that Prairie View just played on December 6th. South Carolina State hasn't played since November 22nd. I think that Prairie View is going to carry that momentum. I'm not so sure that the rest is going to do South Carolina State good, or maybe a little bit too much rest. South Carolina State was in this game last year. They lost to Jackson State 28-7. MEAC won 6 out of the first 7 Celebration Bowls. That's South Carolina State out of the MEAC. But the SWAC, where Prairie View is representing, has won the last 2. Neutral field here in Atlanta, noon kickoff. I'm going to go ahead and back up Prairie View here, plus the 1.5. I think that the wrong team is favored. Once again, invite you guys over to All right, let's go ahead and get into this bucked up LA Bowl here. We got 9-4 Boise State taking on 8-4 Washington. This is going to be 8 p.m. here on Saturday, December the 13th. Totals going up, lines going up as well. Right now, Washington was 8.5 point favorite. Right now, they're 9.5 point favorite, and this total is up to 53. Looking at this game here, I think that Washington here, they're coming off of a 26-14 loss to the Oregon Ducks. Nothing to be ashamed about there. And on the Boise State side, they are coming off of a Mountain West 38-21 win against UNLV. Thing with Boise State, losses that nothing to be ashamed about in their losses to Notre Dame, South Florida. But, they did get beat pretty soundly in those games. The thing that really stands out, they only scored 7 points in every loss, all 4 losses, 7 points. They lost to South Florida 34-7. They lost to Boise State 28-7. And then also Fresno State 30-7. That really bothers you there. And San Diego State 17-7. So really, thing with Boise State, they're either going to win the game or they're only going to score 7 points. If they score more than 7 points, they're going to win. When you look at who Washington has lost to this season, lost to Ohio State 24-6. They lost to Michigan 24-7. They did have that loss to Wisconsin 13-10, and then the loss that I mentioned to the Oregon Ducks. But line seems a bit high here at 9.5, but I think that Washington's really catching the right opponent at the right time. I think Washington has the advantage up front on both sides of the ball, and they have more weapons also than Boise State does. I just don't think that Boise State is going to have a lot of success moving the ball through the air once they fall behind. Line does seem like a bit much, but Jed Fish, I do trust him here. They lost 35-34 in their bowl game to Louisville last year. I do think that Washington is going to come in here motivated. I do think that this might be one of those games, laying the 9.5 points, maybe a little bit uncomfortable. I would lay it up to once if it crosses back past 10, I would go ahead and stay off of it at that point. But I do like Washington minus the 9.5, and also another thing that you guys may be looking at is this total, as this line is starting to creep up. You may find more value in this total. I do like the under 53 in this game as well. I do think that we're going to see a lot of long drives, sustained drives. Boise State, they usually chew up the clock. Not saying that all of those are going to lead to points, all of those drives, but I do think that we're going to get an under of under 53. On the surface, this kind of to me feels like we'll probably see like a 27 to 14 Washington win. If we get more points than that, I don't know, maybe a 30-17 Washington win. But I do think that Washington is going to cover, and I do think that this game is going to stay under the total. I also like Prairie View A&M plus the 1.5 in the Celebration Bowl. Let me know what you guys like. Go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more bowl previews. Let me know what your favorite plays are for these bowl games as we're getting things rolling. Nice to have these early bowl games. You don't have to worry about the opt-outs. At least right now, no major opt-outs in either of these games. Definitely not expecting any in the Celebration Bowl. Recommend that you just use 1 to 5% of your bankroll. If you really, really love a game and you got $100 that you want to start getting into sports betting with, I would say $5 max. You guys can kind of do the math from there. That's how you turn it into investing instead of gambling. Always stay within your means. Once again, I'm David Delano. Let's have a great day.